Week 2, Episode 2, Hard Knocks. I'm here with Dave Sterling. How's it going, Dave?
Ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Oh, sorry. I thought you wanted me to do this. I'm doing great.
Is that the theme music?
That was the theme music. It was not very well sung. I apologize.
So, after having to wait an extra hour,
we
finally got Episode 2.
Yes, I was sitting there hitting refresh on both HBO Go and HBO Now.
Yeah, I have access to both right now, too.
Free trial?
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah, and then I saw the thing about the 11 o'clock, and I went to bed.
Yeah, so HBO streams the show at it shows the show at 10 o'clock p.m. on the TV channel. And last week, it was streaming right at 10 o'clock as well.
10:00:01. Yes. It was right there.
This week, they left many a subscriber to HBO Go and HBO Now upset.
Well, I remember when this happened with Game of Thrones a few years ago, when HBO Now was not a product. HBO Go was something that you subscribed to HBO, and with it, you got this HBO Go. And it was notoriously all people stealing HBO from people they knew.
Right.
So at the time, they did this awesome thing where Game of Thrones was on, and people were complaining that the episode wasn't on HBO Go, and HBO said, well, we're re-airing it right after this one, so just turn on your HBO and watch it, because you pay for HBO, right?
Yeah.
But now, HBO Now is a product that people pay for or on the free trial of. Why that needs to be delayed, I do not know.
Well, and I will pay for it because I do like HBO's shows.
Right.
And I did recently move to YouTube TV.
Right.
So I would buy it through YouTube TV if those people would make friends and do it, but they won't.
Right.
So, but anyway, in 2018, to have it embargoed an hour.
Yeah.
Till 11 p.m.
Especially, I wouldn't even have cared. Because last week, everyone said, oh, well, usually it's on the next morning. And then it promptly showed up on HBO Now at 10. And then why change it this week? Who knows?
All right, anyway, nobody cares.
No, I think everyone cares. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. The show itself. Episode 2 overall, I was a little less enthused by it than I was Episode 1. It was still good.
No, it was good, but it was less... Once you start to get into the preseason games, it's there's less practice camp intrigue and more.
Yes.
It's more about individual performances, and they start to focus in on players.
Yes. So let's start there, because I know what they're trying to do with Cajuste.
They're going to make us all cry when he gets cut.
I don't care.
Okay.
They're trying to make me care, but I don't.
You don't care about Cajuste?
I know going in that he's not going to make the team.
Right. Yeah.
There's no way. He's like number 5.
It is very interesting, and I think important, frankly, to understand that all these guys are human beings.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one thing is you get the kind of general Twitter mob that yells, cut him, or he's terrible, or anything like that.
Yeah, he's a real dude who loves his dad, who's got a dad with 17 heart attacks.
Right.
So,
and he's a real dude who, just like...
And I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but like, I'd already come to accept that.
Well, no, and if you think about, we talked about this a little bit last week, you and I could do the same mantras that he does. Well, I'm never going to give up. I'm always going to work the hardest. Everybody in the NFL, for the most part, does that.
Yes.
Some of them have the body of Myles Garrett. Some of them have the body of Cajuste. And some of them have the body of Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield.
The missing ingredient for Devon Cajuste, is not time and effort.
Right. And that's something, I guess, to hang all of our hopes and dreams on of, just because you think all these things and think positive, sometimes the dice just don't come up your way.
And he's still better than 99% of all football players in the universe.
Oh, yeah. That is, and this is off topic, but you look at a terrible, terrible pro soccer team, and any one player on that terrible, or basketball team, like you look at the guys who didn't cut it in the NBA and go and play in Turkey.
And by the way, this is why whenever anybody says Alabama would beat the Cincinnati Bengals,
right.
Alabama would beat the Browns, Historically it was the Bengals. Now it's the Browns.
Right.
It's not true.
Right.
It's not true.
That guy who's the lowest man on the Turkish worst team is still the best basketball player you've ever seen. That would ever encounter you and would destroy you. So
Devon Cajuste would probably be the best player on Alabama right now.
Right, absolutely.
Or one of.
If he didn't have that bump shoulder.
Yeah, that bump shoulder. So anyway, but that's something that Hard Knocks does.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be sexist, but my wife enjoyed that part of the storyline and getting to know that player, and I'm kind of over that part of it.
I'm still trying to convince my wife to watch, and the problem that she has, and this is a very interesting problem.
Oh, wait, is the problem that she won't watch bad reality TV?
No. The problem is, she goes, I have a problem with Hue Jackson. And I'm like, why? She's like, I don't know. I don't like the guy. Anyone who loses all their games should be fired.
Okay.
And I'm like, well...
It's hard to argue.
It's hard to argue with someone with a complete non-football perspective. She's not wrong.
But
anyway,
what does that have to do with Hard Knocks?
That's a good question, too. I think I don't know. Anyway, here's the shocking thing for me. This episode may have made me like Hue Jackson. Like, his speeches and his dealing with Callaway and his dealing at the same time in concert with Haley, I'm really starting to think, okay, he may be a good coach, or at least be on the right track to being a good coach.
He is so much smoother than I ever would have guessed. Have you noticed he never says or ever?
Yes, he is not, in his press conferences, is not his best foot forward,
No,
I would say.
But when he's talking to the team, he never stumbles, he never stammers. He is just a natural. It's no wonder that the team never quit on him.
Right.
And we're finally getting to see... The Browns weren't going to show us behind-the-scenes footage of his locker room speech before the 15th loss, or after the 15th loss.
Yeah.
And so for us to get this view of him during training camp kind of sheds a light on the side of him that we haven't seen before, and maybe shows that the missing ingredient for the Browns might have been an offensive coordinator and some additional talent.
Right.
Rather than just changing up Hue Jackson.
Yes. I really like the way he, both positive and negative, addressed players.
Yes.
And the team as a whole. I think he's excellent at complimenting when they deserve to be complimented, and he's excellent at kind of turning up the heat. And frankly, how'd you feel about Greg Williams this episode?
Oh, I thought he was really funny.
Well, that's for sure.
But, by the way, none of this means that Hue Jackson is a good coach.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah,
it's just so funny how it changes perception.
Well,
sorry, go ahead, Greg Williams, because I want to talk about Corey Coleman and perception.
Okay. Well, and that goes to my overarching theme, I think, of this episode and of the whole series. If you remember, the reports before the Browns were ever on Hard Knocks was they didn't want to do it. They thought it would reveal too much and it would be a huge negative for the team.
Yeah.
I think this year specifically, and maybe last year would have gone better with this as well, they've been able to shed light on situations which could have had sports radio, the Twitter mob, and fans in general in turmoil with the Callaway situation and the Coleman situation. You shed a tiny amount of light on both of those, and you go, oh, well, that makes sense. So, Corey Coleman.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I killed the Browns for the Corey Coleman trade, but I certainly raised suspicions that they didn't maximize the value on that trade. They basically just gave him away.
Right.
That was confirmed, by the way. A couple of I think it was Landry. No, it was maybe the quarterback room where they were talking about, they paid for
it was
2027.
the defensive line room, yeah.
They basically just said, get out of here or
right.
something.
Yeah.
So they confirmed they felt the same way about that trade as I did. But the way Hard Knocks showed Corey Coleman coming into Hue Jackson's office and saying, well, why don't you just trade me? And it was a very short snippet, but now that is the defining moment of the Corey Coleman thing. It really protected the Browns. It had their back.
Well, I would say that when he came in, and I think sometimes a player, and this is a completely different context, my nephew, who you've played soccer with, was not getting a lot of playing time when he was playing soccer in high school. and wrote an email to the coach saying, I do this, 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 and this, and I think I should play. And the coach said, okay, prove it to me. And he started the rest of the year after putting in good performance after good performance. There's a place for a player to say, Coach, what do I got to do to get back on first team? But the way Corey Coleman approached it was, why are you running me second team?
It's a joke to me.
Yeah.
I think that's what he said.
Yeah, it's a joke. Just trade me. Like, that's a completely different thing than coach. I'll work hard. I'll do this. I'll do that to get back on first team. There's a place for that meeting, and that was not the meeting that was had.
Right. There's a different level of ego where somebody comes in and says, it's a joke to me. It doesn't feel right to me. Like, I've done it. He was claiming, in saying that, he was claiming he's doing everything and that he didn't deserve to be knocked down to second team.
Right.
And there again, Hard Knocks painted that picture. We read from some beat reporters that Corey Coleman had some good days in camp.
Oh yeah,
but we had the montage of Corey getting yelled at and his drops,
his not running out the routes. I'm sure everybody puts all that on film. The Antonio Callaway situation, I think, also very, very much cleared up. They showed the traffic stop.
Well, before we get there,
oh, okay.
What percentage of the truth do you think we saw in the Corey Coleman situation, or how much? Like, do you think it was 30% truth or 40% truth, or how much do you think was not doctored but story told via Hard Knocks?
Well, the story that needs to be told was he got traded for a 2027th round pick.
Yes.
So people in the organization were not upset that he's no longer there.
But I guess my point is, I think we got about like 30 or 40% of the truth in the Corey Coleman thing, and it was doctored a little bit.
I would have loved to have seen the meeting between Dorsey and Peter Jean-Baptiste and Hue Jackson, where they discussed it and then told each other about it and then said, okay, how are we going to report this?
And we might not be done because
right.
The Browns play the Bills, and that's where Corey Coleman went.
I heard that the Hard Knocks crew followed Corey Coleman, and they're going to record interactions between him and the Browns this week.
Interesting. But I think, so for how I think they painted that picture for us, we only got about 40% of the truth. I think the Antonio Callaway stuff, in my heart, it feels like we got 70 or 80% of the truth.
Yeah, because they did show the police dash cam.
Excuse me.
And they did show the meeting between Hue Jackson and John Dorsey and Antonio Callaway.
And they showed Callaway's reactions when he was keeping that secret.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That was gut-wrenching.
Too many people coming up. Hey, man, you all right? You don't seem right. What's going on? What's up?
You look like a puppy dog.
Man. Haley, I really like Todd Haley. And he seems like kind of a jerk, but in a good way. But when he was going off on, well, we'll get to the Carl Nassib stuff.
But yeah, this is what Joe Thomas was saying, too.
But the meeting, you saw the meeting.
Yes.
They didn't come in and go, okay, well, we're going to film the end of this. We saw the meeting where Antonio Callaway got brought in, and I think it was excellent what Hue Jackson said. I believe you. If I find out you're lying to me, I'll have your ass, and you'll be done. But, okay. And he just told him what John Dorsey said. You're a pro now. This isn't the University of Florida. I think John Dorsey said that. Maybe it was Hue. But you handle it. You call us. We'll handle it. Like, it's almost the secret handshake that he would have had in Florida or something like that. We're on your team. Right. We're not the authority figure that's out to get you. We're going to help protect you as much as anybody if you find yourself in a bad situation. We don't want you in a bad situation, but it's almost even more twisted. It's like, no, call us and we'll help fix the police problem. Don't just let it go,
And so my take on Antonio Callaway, now that we've kind of gotten to see a little bit of it, and again, we're only seeing what they want to show us.
Right.
But it's my perception that he's young and dumb, not really like evil.
Yes, I agree with that. And we've had people here who were more on the evil side, and I think you are correct, especially with...
And evil's probably not the right word.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. They're not a bad person. He's just stupid.
He's just made really dumb mistakes.
Right.
You can get better from making dumb mistakes. You can't get better from having bad intentions.
Well, that police interaction.
Ray Caruth had that in his soul.
Someone with a Trevor Bauer type attitude gets pulled over for the same thing and wants to argue with the cop about his rights and you can't do this and you can't do that, and to be confrontational with police versus being polite, respectful, and handling your business like an adult. The wrong kind of guy can turn that situation way worse. So they get arrested for disorderly conduct or resisting arrest or something like that. So he handled himself well, I think, as well.
Yeah, and just made a dumb mistake.
Yes.
To have a roach under the seat of his car. Although the police officer said he smelled weed in the stop.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I guess that's my perception of Callaway. It
was really cool the way the game played
let's
out.
Be honest,
too.
if he continues to play well, we'll find ways to make him worth it, because if he was Hollywood Higgins,
right,
he'd probably last year he'd already be gone.
Right. No, absolutely.
But this guy shows the potential to be a first round level talent.
And I like his punishment of you're playing the whole preseason game. And even after his 54-yard touchdown, everybody's celebrating, Hue Jackson saying awesome job, Todd Haley saying awesome job, and then Haley goes, don't think you're done. You're going back in. I think that was great. I think it said good things to his teammates that you could see they were all rooting for him. That's a big thing, that it's not a situation where they're like, man, this asshole should have been cut. Why hasn't he been cut? It's they're rooting for the guy. So I think that's important as far as the team goes.
All right. So what else happened in this episode?
Todd Haley made fun of Carl Nassib's name because there should never be a baby named Carl.
That was hysterical.
And I got to say, and this is not meant to offend, that I can't picture a baby's named Craig either.
I understand.
So you have a grown man's name.
I can't picture it any other way because I've grown up with this name. But no, it's true. And then he also applied it to Brogan.
Yeah, well, Brogan, I don't think that's a name of an adult or a baby. I've never heard of Brogan before. And what they start calling him, Broby,
which is really bad.
Yeah.
Capitalize the bro.
Drew Stanton came off as less of a douche this episode.
He did.
So that's good. It was no RV sightings. That's good for me.
Oh, the RV was
I think
so
they
bad.
realized that it didn't play very well, so that's good for everybody. What else did we get to see? They teased us with a picture of Myles Garrett with his shirt off in the teaser for last week, and then it just materialized to him writing poetry. I hope they get more into Myles Garrett.
So here's the thing. I don't want to make fun of Myles Garrett for writing poetry.
Right.
But I also don't. I was embarrassed for everybody. I ignored that entire section.
Yeah.
I looked at my phone and I just pretended it wasn't happening. My wife was looking at me like, he does what? And I pretended it didn't exist.
I'm fine. I mean, you can hold whatever you want. I don't particularly care for a lot of poetry. But for him saying, why would I want to, he said, I like to write before I liked hitting people, and I like to write now that I do like hitting people. So
right. But the idea of the camera sitting there on a tripod catching him.
Oh yeah. No, it's
writing in his notepad.
No, it's, I was hoping they'd get, there's time, can get more into his personality.
Yeah.
Because he's a super interesting guy.
I think so too.
And the poetry is a little bit cliche of, my brother-in-law has a saying that just because you were popular in high school doesn't mean you were good at writing poetry. And now I assume Myles Garrett was popular in high school.
Yes.
Being, the best player on a football team. But anyway.
We all have some hobbies we just shouldn't tell anybody about.
Like podcasting.
Yeah.
You ever tell anybody who goes, what? What's podcast? What is that? I've heard of that. What is
Not
that?
anymore. I mean, back when we
get
started
some.
in 2012 and 13, they were like, so what, you do a cute little radio show in your house?
Or you'll get, well, how do I get that? And you're like, I don't want to explain it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I don't get that so much anymore. But I mean, we've been doing this. I was checking. The first time we posted a Libsyn was 2013, meaning we started this probably in like 2011,
wow.
2012. We old.
Yeah, we are old.
Way too old to be staying up till 12 o'clock watching Hard Knocks.
I woke up kind of in the middle of the night, and it was 1 a.m., and I'm like, well, I guess that's probably on now. I should probably go watch that. And I did.
All right, so what else are we looking forward to? The Browns have another preseason game.
The Bills intrigue. Actually, good. It
should be a Tyrod Taylor week too.
Well, are you switching to Tyrod?
No.
Okay, because you might say it if you're in control of your voice, but mostly you're going to default back to Tyrod.
Yeah, and it's
if you didn't hear, apparently Joel Bitonio revealed that Tyrod Taylor's name is meant to be pronounced Tyrod, but he's never corrected anybody, and because he's too nice. At this point, I believe Craig said that the statute of limitations on your name has expired. You've let it be Tyrod for too long. Yep. It is Tyrod. That's fine. Anyway, his leadership.
It's like Terrell Owens.
When he was telling Hue to put the film up in front of everybody and show people what they're doing. They don't want to put up that bad film in front of everybody. That's excellent leadership from a quarterback.
Quietly, one-on-one with the coach, not screaming at the top of his lungs.
Right.
That's not how we did it in Buffalo.
Right.
And this is not how we create winners. We're a bunch of losers.
What do you think of Baker Mayfield through his first preseason game?
I mean, so far so good. Better than the alternative.
Yes.
But I'm also not overreacting.
Well, I'm not overreacting. I think getting kind of some of his mic'd up stuff, and the best shot, and I will post this on Twitter later, is someone Jackson's face after Baker made that first throw to Callaway, that out route that he caught at the sidelines. Or it may not have been that one. But the look on Hue Jackson's face when he saw the throw is just, holy shit. Like, the look is perfect.
Yeah, this guy's good.
Yeah.
Well, people started calling me. So I don't know if that last little section got interrupted a little bit. But I'm encouraged by Baker Mayfield. I think that he will... Excuse me. I think that he will very clearly overtake Tyrod Taylor sometime in this year.
Yeah?
I really do.
I'm not even going to go on record of hot take of that, because who knows with our line in the state that it's in,
right,
whether that will be forced or choice. But we haven't done much with the offensive line. According to Joe Thomas, it's because they've instituted their own kangaroo court that anybody who does something intentionally to get on Hard Knocks is fined
big trouble.
$625. So, unfortunately, we're not seeing much in the O-line room, other than, which lineman was that was asking Carl Nassib where the hell he was getting a 10% return?
Yeah. But Nassib's actually right. I mean, if you really look at the S&P over 90 years, it's 9.8 or something like that. But, you'd have to be in for 90 years, and there's some wild swings.
Well, some friends and I were discussing whether or not we should go to this Browns-Bills preseason game, and we were going back and forth. Should we do it? Should we do it? And then I said, well, these tickets would be $50. And then my friend Dan did the math and said, hey, that's $3,200. So anyway, we did decide to do it, but
that was one of my favorite things. $10,000 is actually $640,000 or something like that.
Yeah, that's good math. What else did they do? We saw a lot of kind of, every once in a while, like, it's weird. HBO has never had commercials, but they still build the show
Yes.
like it has commercial breaks, because I think maybe it eventually will air on NFL Network or something like that. A lot of slow motion drills and hitting.
Friend of Waiting for Next Year was responsible for the drone photography.
Oh, nice. Trying to think, was there any other big stuff to cover? We did the Cajuste. I don't know.
I think that's about it.
Yeah. Haven't learned much about Nick Chubb. Haven't really learned much about Baker Mayfield. There's been no interviews talking to at home like they did with Jarvis Landry. The David Njoku meditation, was that as cringeworthy to you as the poetry?
Not quite, but close. It was in the same ballpark.
I did.
By the way, Zach Jackson is on record saying it's Njoku.
Oh, boy. I can't do all this stuff. I can't.
It's Njoku.
Njoku. Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna have to keep learning, Dave.
Yeah.
We can't.
I'm just gonna call him tight end David, or we'll just say numbers.
Actually, I do like how Hue Jackson
80,
calls everybody their number.
80 Ono. Interesting fact that we kind of learned: the Browns have a meditation guy.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah, was it his name is Justin or something? I called Justin our meditation guy. So these are the things that an NFL team needs to have.
I'm sure he's got another job too.
That's probably.
He's like health and wellness meditation guy to David Njoku.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we'll be back next week with another recap, and it's fun. I love having this. I wish that this was for every season.
Well, and the last little bit I will say about everyone talking about how the Browns didn't want to participate and stuff like that. What tactically do you know about the Browns that you didn't know 2 weeks ago? Is absolutely zero.
Yes.
It's not, there are no plays. We saw that they wanted to run some hurry up offense, but we saw that by watching the preseason game. There are no tactical things we've seen.
It's just good PR. Lets us inside the black box. We now know how the sausage is made a little bit better.
And that's great for a team like the Browns. It's when you're the Patriots,
you entertain people with wins.
Yeah, you entertain people with wins, and you don't need excuses for anything.
When you're the Browns, you entertain people with a reality show.
Yeah, when you're the Browns, you go, listen, we're all trying, see?
We're not as dumb as you might think.
It's like the arrogance thing of the Patriots could raise prices every year and they would be justified. The Browns raised prices after a 1-15 season, and everybody goes, what the hell? And it's the same thing. It's like, oh no, we need to be secretive, and this is a tight-lipped organization. But no one cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Unless they get a hold of your playbook. Very interesting that Baker took Coach Hue Jackson's advice and came in early now, stays late. According to Joe Thomas again, sorry, just reporting on Joe Thomas's Twitter feed, I guess Colt McCoy would pick up Jake Delhomme
at 5:30 in the morning every day,
and they'd come in together. That's kind of a cool, interesting topic. Also, threw your favorite former Browns executive, Sashi Brown, under the bus by saying you need a veteran in the quarterback room. Having two is awesome. That's the only way he's going to be good. Deshaun Kaiser was put in a horrible position last year, so take that for what it is.
Yeah, I don't think he went to the same. He didn't say that about Deshaun Kaiser.
He did not. I added that part, and I added the Sashi Brown part. But
yes, but it was pretty much, an indictment of the entire quarterback room last year.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, you've tried to wrap this up 3 times, and I wanted to keep talking, but I think
it's fine. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. It's been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast.
Ba 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 ba.